Just reading a little here and let's see what we find. And this will not be the reading of my findings here in regards of my Facebook and all that. Let's just go to one of these websites and I think we might find more goodies, but you never know. So this is COG Writer. Let's turn down my video here. And let's see, Mithra, often spelled Mithra, was a sun god. Mithraism seemed to enter the Roman Empire about the 2nd century before Jesus was crucified. Mithras was believed to have been born out of a rock in an underground cave and so forward. Yeah. And other informations. Let's see here. French comment. French comment noted, for more than 3 centuries, Mithraism was practiced in the remotest provinces of the Roman Empire and under the most diverse conditions. Perhaps no other religion ever offered to its sectarians, in a higher degree than Mithraism, opportunities for prayer and motives for veneration. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, there we go with the. I think we read this source, but Mithra came to the front in the 3rd century. There was a true moral element in the worship of Mithra, the all-seeing, the author and protector of life, Mithra the purifier and giver of immortality. A great Catholic church of Mithra overspread the lands from Persia to Britain, especially along the great rivers where the legions lay. It had regular and irregular clergy, ascetics and mendicant friars, and diverse orders of faithful men. It had regular divine service 3 times daily and a yearly round of festivals culminating, in regards to the pinnacle, in the birthday of Mithra, the December 25. With the meetings for worship and processions of noisy votarios. We pretty much read that already. So from the University of Michigan and all that. Let's see here. Mithraism, at least in the 4th century, had therefore as its end and aim the union of all gods and all myths in a vast synthesis, the foundation of a new religion in harmony with prevailing philosophy and political constitution of the empire. The ceremony of branding the forehead of the soldier initiate, so like the ceremony exacted of recruits in the Roman army before taking the sacramentum or military oath. Now, of course, Yeshua said we shouldn't take any oath. Offering, and by the way, if you see the Roman pagan system, you have the military guards of the Swiss taking oath to our military oath offering on the other, and you can actually parallel that with the Nazis actually taking an oath in the 2nd World War. But anyway, that's another topic and all that, and you can find a lot of links in regards to that as well, Roman links in regards of Nazi Germany. But of course, Rome pretty much controlled all sides. As long as she gets on top of everything, as long as she wins out, then it's, Anyway, offering on the other hand but a remote resemblance to the Christian rite of confirmation, of which Tertullian thought it was a diabolic simulation. So yeah, there's a Catholic encyclopedia. I think we might have taken that. No, not sure. See here. Mithraism, a pagan religion consisting mainly in the cult of the ancient Indo-Iranian sun god Mithra. It entered Europe from Asia Minor after Alexander's conquest, spread rapidly over the whole. So that would be spread from Asia Minor after Alexander's, that would be the Greek, Alexander's conquest spread rapidly over the whole Roman Empire at the beginning of our era. I'm not entirely sure in regards to but Alexander should be the Greek, right? It entered Europe from Asia Minor after Alexander's conquest, spread rapidly over the whole Roman Empire at the beginning of our era. The origin of the cult of Mithra dates from the time that the Hindus and Persians still formed one people. For the god Mithra occurs in the religion and the sacred books of both races, as to say in the Vedas and in the Avesta. In Vedic hymns, he is frequently mentioned and is nearly always coupled with Varuna. Again, this is the thing with paganism. It comes from, it evolves. It comes from one place and goes to another place, and it changes a little here and a little there and so forward, and sometimes it comes back to the same place where So again, it's just a big part of bullshit, pretty much. Anyway. In the Vedas and in the Avesta, in Vedic hymns, he is frequently mentioned and is nearly always coupled with Varuna. But beyond that bare occurrence of his name, little is known of him. Rig Veda 359. It is conjectured Oldenburg Diary. Whatever. Okay. No way. It is conjectured Oldenburg Diary, Religion des Vada, Berlin, 1894, that Mithra was the rising sun, Varuna the setting sun, or Mithra the sky at daytime, Varuna the sky at night, or the one the sun, the other the moon. In any case, Mithra is a light or solar deity of some sort. I've seen pictures where you see the sun and then you see the moon on the, you see Mithra in the middle and you see the sun to the left and the moon to the right, I think it was. Anyway, but whatever. It's all pagan bullshit, okay? All pagan bullshit. Anyway, so whatever the case, whatever the, and people might have, have different views on things in regards to this belief and all that. But whatever the case, it's just pagan bullshit. Anyway, and in regards of the encyclopedia, they talked about in regards of racing as with the sun and all that, goes with the sun and all that. Anyway, so we have Helios, Mithras. We pretty much talked about that as well in the last video. Helios Mithras is one god. Sunday was kept holy in honor of Mithra. The 25th December was observed at his birthday. The Natalis Invicti, the rebirth of the winter sun, unconquered by the records of season. And this is from the Catholic Encyclopedia and all that. You guys out there that don't want to believe that Christ-Mass is pagan and all that, whatever, you can discount all that all these informations and all that and say, it's just this and that, and they don't know what they're talking about. It's just incredible. You want the truth or you don't want the truth, right? If you don't want the truth, okay, but don't tell me it's not pagan. At least some people are actually honest. At least some people that actually keeps this tradition is actually honest. Yes, it's pagan, but I'm keeping it anyway. At least that shows at least some honesty that they're honest about it being a pagan of origin, but they're still continuing to keep it, which I'm really, I don't understand. But anyway, it is easy to understand that many of the emperors yielded to the delusion that they could unite all, and we pretty much also took that in regards to Sol Invictus and all that. That was a very interesting quote. Thus, Mithraism was pagan, militaristic, and popular throughout the Roman Empire. It was apparently the religion of the Roman Emperor Constantine. So it was apparently the religion of the Roman Emperor Constantine. It is no surprise that those who trace their belief from the Council of Nicaea that Emperor Constantine convened could have many practices associated with Mithraism, ? Yeah. Well, I would still like to find some good sources in regards of what other practices that might have been come in from Mithraism in regards. So anyway, some have questioned the connection between Mithras and Sol, but there is evidence that the worshippers of Mithras equated him with Sol. I think that seems to be the connection I'm getting as well. Helios, again, sun god, and Apollo as well, I guess. And let's see here. Helios, the older Titanic Greek personification of the sun as a god. Apollo, Greek god of sun and light. And Sol, Roman god of the sun, were part of the ancient Greek Greco-Roman pantheon of gods that existed before the introduction of Mithra in the West. So, Apollo, by the way, is the one that is found in the book of Revelation, if I remember correctly. Apollyon, there's two different words used. So, I do wonder if all these, all these false gods, which is related to the sun, actually has the birth of the 25th December. Again, wouldn't be a surprise, right? The birthday of Apollo, the birthday of Helios, the Sol Invictus, and so forward. But anyway, what is this source from? Does it say which source it takes it from? This is from Heritage Institute, Zoroastrianism, reference December 25, Yalda Iduli, apparently. Anyway. But that's, so it says Helios, the older Titanic Greek personification of the sun as a god. Apollo, Greek god of sun and light. So Apollo, that's interesting. Again, because we have in the book of Revelation, I think it's Apollo or Apollyon, talking about, and again, the book of Revelation is pretty much just totally exposing the Roman Catholic system. So there might be some connection there, And Sol, Roman god of the sun, were part of the ancient Greco-Roman pantheon of gods that existed before the introduction of Mithra in the West. So, yeah. Though several Mithric inscriptions mention Mithra and Sol together, as in Deus Soli Invicta Mithraea 16, the reverse does not hold true. Non-Mithric inscriptions featuring Sol alone have scant mention of Mithra. So anyway, to summarize, while Mithric inscriptions conflate Mithra with Sol, all the extant Mithric iconographic we have seen do not conflate the two. Conflate, what is that? Conflate. Conflate. Add together different elements. Add together different elements. I don't know. But as far as I can see in regards of, it's you say Sol Invictus, it's pretty much Mithra. You see the connections. And all these other sun gods, again, when was the birth of Apollo, Would be interesting to see when they, not in regards of like the 25 December, but is it in regards of when the sun begins to rise. Doesn't matter which calendar they used in some sense at that in this instant. It is in regards of the time when the sun begins to rise. That is the time, whatever calendar you use, that is the time where they would have, seen it as the sun birth. So let's see. Again, that's some of the things that he was mixing a lot of calendars together and all that. Oh, they're not using the same calendar, whatever. That doesn't matter. The matter is in regards to the time of when they are actually doing it. Let's see here. Apollo birthday. Let's see if we can find birthday. If we can find some that says it's 25. Let's see here. Yeah, this is from the first thing that comes up when you say Apollo birthday, 25 December. One can refer to 25 December as Apollo's birthday, but he certainly didn't have a monopoly on the day. 25 December is very close after the winter solstice. So, according to this source anyway, that's one more source. That says it's 25. Did I give any source from? Source, here we have one source, Mikhail Lipkav, Roman gods. Let's see here. One can refer to this 25 December as Apollo's birthday, but he certainly didn't have a monopoly on the day. Apollo, being associated with, among many other things, the sunlight, was one of the many pagan gods who was linked to December 25. This is connected in the winter solstice and the rebirth of the sun, hence the date being after December the 21. At one point, December 23 was celebrated, but this was later changed to December 25. For the Romans, though, Apollo was less important than he was for the Greeks. The Romans already had a deity for the sun, although Apollo became more popular at some point, and thus there was an antagonism between Apollo and Sol. In its form of Sol Indicus or something like that, the latter was apparently an age-old Roman deity, whose functional square came to overlap with the Greek Apollo as an identification of the sun, when the later identification became prominent in Rome in the Augustan period. Again, you see all these, pagan traditions, and they change a little here and they change a little there. They so-called evolve and all that, and it's all pagan bullshit. It says, this is Source Lipka, Michael Lipka, Roman gods. See also Sol Invictus. Let's see, that's Sol Invictus in regards to Wikipedia here. I wonder if they say it's like on the 25 December or what. Yeah. Sol Invictus, unconquered sun, was the official sun god of the later Roman Empire and patron of soldiers. Now, if he was the patron of soldiers, who was the patron of soldiers? As far as I understand, that was Mithra, right? So again, here you see the connection between Sol Invictus and Mithra again. Anyway, on December 25, on 25 December AD 274, the Roman Emperor Aurelian made it an official cult alongside the traditional Roman cults, and so forward and so forward. But anyway, 25. That's Wikipedia, but of course you could distrust Wikipedia as well. You could distrust everything, right? And say it has no pagan connections. And even the pagans are still celebrating this, in regards. You have so much information out there, and you want to tell me it's not pagan? You have to be kidding me. Though, and this is something that is first being promoted for Christians in the 4th century. It hadn't been kept by Christians before the 4th century, where it's being promoted. Where you probably get all these Mithra people inside the Roman Catholic Church in the 4th. It makes total sense. Absolutely total sense. It's so, amalgamating, the pagan with with Christianity, and pretty much. It's just, I guess, the poisonous seeds, the darnel that just goes along, right? Mixes with the Roman mystery religion of Rome. Anyway, let's see here. So we have Helios. Helios you can probably also find confirmation that he was born on the 25, Helios birth. Let's see when they think he was born. Helios was born from the union of celestial Titan. Doesn't really say anything in regards of a birth of date as such. There are also you have to remember that we have lost a lot of information from the past. So if I put in 25 December, we have Christ-Mass pagan deception. Seem to, but whatever. Happy birthday to the sun god in regards to the December 25. And they talk about, old worshippers of Helios, Apollo. It seems like he's linking Helios and Apollo together. But again, all pagan bullshit, all pagan bullshit. We also see, we see research on these different temples around the world. And it seems like they had interest in regards to this, but anyway, I can't remember everything in regards to that, but there's a guy running around and, focusing on the different temples and buildings that are still standing from the past, and That was something in regards of this thing, but I can't remember the details about it. I have happily forgotten about it. Anyway, but he's still around and he's still promoting paganism, and ayahuasca and all that. I can't remember his name, but anyway. And I can't remember the details overall with these things because it's a lot of years since I guess it was before. Yeah, it's many years ago since I. In any case, so we have a Helios, we have Apollo, we have the Sol, in regards to Roman god of the sun, and I think also Sol is the word for sun in Latin, but I'm not sure. I could, of course, I don't remember if I still have it. Let's see. Okay, and we can. There's still some problems with this program, but let's see. So now there's still. I don't know what to do in regards to this program. Or maybe I can search here. So. Solis. Try that. It does. There's still some problems in regards to this application. Sadly. So I would need to go all down to the S, apparently. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. A, B, C, D, F. Oh, we're still on C. Huh? And we need to go to S. That's a long. Can I just take it down here and... it's going to E... A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U. Not good at the alphabet. I don't know why it doesn't work in the program. They still have a lot to work on this application. Here we go. S. So S-O, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G, O, E, J, there we go. So that was Solio, Solitus, Solis. There we go. So Solis, the sun. Sol Solis. That's apparently the sun. I guess that would be a short form, would be Sol then. So Solis. Do we have Soleo, Solio, Solitas, Solito, Solitudo, Solitus, Solium, Solo, Soliciti, Solicito, Solicitudo, Solicitudo, so forward. Anyway, the sun, pretty much the sun. Sol, Solis, sun up there. Sol, Solis, sun. Okay. Anyway, that took a little longer because the search thing doesn't seem to work. I guess they are still working on it. They have really progressed, a good amount since I started many years to. So hopefully they will continue to progress in the right direction. Though several Mithraic inscriptions mention Mithra and Sol together, as in Dio Solo Invicto Mithraea 16, the reverse does not hold true, and we pretty much already read that. Okay, thus there are ancient inscriptions from the followers of Mithra that Mithra is also Sol. It would seem logical that Constantine did. And he was the high pagan priest of Sol Invictus, in regards to Mithra. That's absolutely seems to make sense. Etuli festivals from December 25 to Yalda, sorry. Constantine had an interfaith compromise agenda. See also, will the interfaith movement lead to peace or sudden destruction? Interfaith, is that like all faiths together or something like that? Interfaith, let's see, interfaith. Involving persons of different religions. Yeah, that's, you can see videos of down from Rome, where they are collecting all the leaders of, well, maybe not the Protestant, maybe not the, what do you call, the fundamentalists and all that, the radicals, the extremists and all that. That's the dangerous group, right? But all the rest, from all over the world, together with the Antichrist. They're literally just worshiping the same God. They might have different names and this and that and all that, but it is the broad way that leads to destruction. They're worshiping Satan. Anyway, so they shouldn't really have a big problem overall, But of course, they would have problems with the truth. They all hate the truth. So, and sadly, most in the empire followed him. Many still do today. So will the interfaith movement lead to peace or sudden destruction? Well, yeah. Well, consider also that Constantine decreed the following, how do you say that in English? Circa, I think. Circa March the 7th, 321. Let all judges, the people of cities and those employed in, I think this is in regards of the Sabbath maybe, but let's see. And those employed in all trades remain quiet on the so-called what? So-called holy day of what? Sunday. Because what day is Sunday? That's in regards of Sol Invictus. Persons residing in the country, however, can freely and lawfully proceed with the cultivation of the fields, as it frequently happens that the sowing of grain or the planting of vines cannot be deferred to a more suitable day, and by making concessions to heaven, the advantage of the time may be lost. So anyway, I think there's other decrees I've seen that is much, where it actually talks about. But anyway, whatever. That's one decree anyway. So here we see him, changing, it doesn't really say in regard to the Sabbath at all. I've seen decrees where it's talk about the Sabbath and also in regards of Sol Invictus. So we see this huge agenda being done in the 4th century. You see the slaying of real true Christians, and persecution of pagans that don't want to enter the Roman Catholic Church as well. There's a lot of things going on in the 4th century, And of course, Christians that wouldn't enter the Roman Catholic Church either would also be the ones persecuted by this maniac institution. So, anyway, so shortly after the above decree, Eusebius recorded this about Constantine. Accordingly, he enjoined on all the subjects of the Roman Empire to observe the Lord's Day. So which Lord is it? Well, which Lord is it? And which day is actually the real Lord's Day in regards of Christianity? Which day is Yeshua saying that he is Lord over? Is it Sunday? No. Is it Saturday? Yay. Anyway, so what is it in regards of when they say that Sunday is the Lord's Day? What are they referring to? The Lord's Day, the Sol Invictus, Mithra, and probably all these other names, Apollo and whatever, But in regards to the Roman Empire, it seems like we're focusing on Sol Invictus and Mithra at this point. But, all the rest of the pagan sun gods and all that, soul gods, So anyway, so to observe the Lord's Day as a day of rest. So is Sunday the day of Jehovah? No. Which day is the day of Jehovah? That's Saturday. Anyway, so which day is it actually the Lord's Day of Sunday? Well, that would be, in regards of the pagan sun god, Mithra or Sol Invictus. Isn't that interesting? And that's one of the things when you go to the Bible and it talks about on the Lord's Day. I was like, the Lord's Day, and people think it's Sunday. Why would it be Sunday? The Lord's Day would be Saturday. Anyway, Notice that the Lord's Day became enjoined by a decree of a Roman Empire. Also notice the following. There is a large body of civil legislation on the Sunday rest side by side with the ecclesiastical. It begins with an edict of Constantine, the first Christian emperor, who forbade judges to sit and town people to work on Sunday. Well, what is Sunday according to the Bible? It's the first day of the week. Guys, this is from the Catholic Encyclopedia. As I understand it, some say that there's a lot of good information found in the Catholic Encyclopedia. So, in regards of finding out information and all that, because So anyway, the bolded quote shows one of the first official, and again, I think there must have been more decrees down the line in regards of history, because I've read others decrees. Again, a little piece here and a little piece there, taking all the puzzle pieces together and all that, and we are getting an image of what is happening in history. And I'm sure there must be other Protestants in the past that have actually done the work as well. Historians that actually are, much more, that really have done a good amount of digging and know things. And anyway, I'm just scratching the surface in some sense and trying to figure out what. The bolded quote shows one of the first official intertwinings of European politics and Catholic doctrine. Despite the fact that he was not baptized nor ordained, the influence of the sun god worshipping Emperor Constantine, who declared himself a bishop, was highly significant. What is this source? So prominent had Christians and that day become that when the Emperor Constantine proclaimed Sunday as the weekly holy day for all Romans, some Christians believed that it was for their sake. You see how the devil works, Very clear. What did Yeshua say? Be aware of wolves in sheep clothing. Some that say they're Christian, yet they are ravenous wolves, Anyway, and this destroying pretty much true Christianity. Anyway, some Christians believe that it was for their sake. More likely, Constantine, like many Roman aristocrats at the time, was simply trying to find common grounds for his mixed pagan and Christian subjects, especially his soldiers. Unity was for the good of the state and the emperor's power. So let's mix paganism with Christianity. That sounds like, not a good idea, right? Anyway, but that was seemingly what happened, However, after a time, Constantine did clearly begin to provide more favor the Roman version of Christianity, which I've seen where they say we shouldn't be like the Jews. We want to get away from the Jews, and I think that was actually in regards of Constantine and all. But anyway, but we can pretty much see things happening. They're turning away from the instructions of God and turning to Roman traditions. And then promoting Christ-Mass in the late 4th century. So, however, and we had another source when it actually began in regards of, so-called Christian and all that, but I can't remember the date, but, in the 4th century, and seemingly beginning in Rome, not a big surprise, right? And then deceiving the people to believe that this is the birth of Jesus and all that. Anyway, however, after a time, Constantine did clearly begin to provide more favor the Roman version of Christianity, which, like the pagans, but unlike the Church of God, endorsed Sunday. He, the sun-worshipping emperor, then called for the famous Council of Nicaea. Wait. Who did call a council? Oh, the high pagan priest of Sol Invictus, of the sun, of Mithra. He called the Council of Nicaea. Oh, really? He did that. Okay. So it was not a Christian? No, it was the high pagan priest that, okay. So, okay. Anyway, which took place in 325 AD. This council decided that Sunday was to be the day of worship. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I didn't read the whole document. It wasn't actually the document that I found in regards to the Nicene Council. I think I actually have it on my phone, maybe. Let's see. I think it was, let's try to search Nicaea. I think, did I write it correctly? Nicaea. Let's see, Nicaea. Yeah, let's see if it finds something. Then called for the famous Council of Nicaea, which took place in 325 AD. This council decided that Sunday was to be the day of worship. Really? Yeah, and if people don't go along, then just slay them, right? If people don't want to keep Sunday instead of Saturday, and if they don't want to eat pig or whatever, if they are Judaizing, right? If they are Judaizing, kill them, murder them, because they're heretics. you see how the devil works. See how the devil works, and they're, so they're calling themselves Christians, Again, I still remember this thing that I read in regards of that the pagans was horrified to see how the Christians was killing off Christians. You say Christians was killing Christians? Maybe they were fake Christians killing real, true Christians, because these true Christians didn't want to conform to this pagan bullshit. I think it's pretty much anyway. And as I understand, there was more Christians killed in the 4th century than all the other centuries together, past centuries. Anyway, so this council decided that Sunday was to be the day of worship. Really? You know where you can take that Council of Nicaea? Down to the trash, it's not all that is bad in regards to the Council of Nicaea. The decree, in the beginning decree, sounds pretty legit, in regards to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit and all that. So it's not all bad, but, mixing things together and all that. Anyway, which took place in 325 AD, this council decided that Sunday was to be the day of worship. Really? Why would they do that? Could that have anything to do with Constantine? And the Passover was to be observed on Sunday, and that eventually became what is known as Easter. And if I have the right document, they're like, happy, happy, happy. We're now all in agreement to be in error, pretty much. They didn't say, but they are like, happy, happy, happy. We're now all in agreement on this topic. Well, apparently not, because John Chrysostom in the late 4th century, that's after the Nicene Council, still have issues with Judaizers. Oh! So that would be Christians that actually want to uphold and guard the law of God, and not go along with Roman tradition. You see, the battle have been ongoing for centuries and centuries from the very first century. You already see Asia Minor rejecting Roman Pharisee Paulus. Satan got his foot in the door by using Paulus. We are to be aware of wolves in sheep clothing. And Asia Minor found out there was something wrong with this guy. And they rejected him. They turned their back on him and so forward. Any case. So this council decided that Sunday was to be the day of worship, and that Passover was to be observed on Sunday, and that eventually became what is known as Easter. After the council, those in the Church of God who kept the Sabbath were considered to be heretics. Yep, and murder the heretics is okay. According to Roman Catholicism law, it's okay to murder a heretic, apparently. And that's the insanity of this system. When you see one of these Catholics saying that the Waldensians and Albigensians and whatever was heretics and all that, then it just makes it okay to kill them, right? Now, of course, the Roman Catholic Church have a way of rewriting history, and we have enough information to know that the Waldensians and I think also the Albigensians was actually just Christians, and they were persecuted by this insane asylum of the Roman filthy church, So but they rewrite history, and but even then, okay, let's say they were heretics. So let's just say the Waldensians, that is true, that they had this and that, which is just utter bullshit and lies and deception as usual. They are doing the devil's work, But anyway, let's just say they were totally wrong and all that. Would it then be okay to murder these people, to persecute them, and to totally kill them off? Would it? Well, apparently it seems like they believe that it's okay, It's like, it doesn't make it any better, You're still going around murdering, taking the sword of the hand, and killing people off. And did Yeshua say anything of that nature, that we should do that? No. So it doesn't even make it better, They're just defending, they're just trying to, it's twisting, it's the children of the devil. And that's pretty much what it is. It's the children of the devil. If you're a Roman Catholic, come out of that wicked system, get out of it. And I'm so tired, pretty much I'm getting so tired of all these lies and deceivers, It's just incredible, You worship a cookie, wake up, a cookie, you're worshiping Satan. And all the rest of the bullshit in regards to the Roman Catholic Church, it shouldn't be hard to see that it doesn't match up with the Bible. It's all over. Oh, anyway, pagan bullshit all over the place. Yeah, anyway. So after the council, those in the Church of God who kept the Sabbath were considered to be heretics and outcast and had to flee in the wilderness. It also, in a sense, was an interfaith council, as it imposed Sunday that followers of faiths like Mithraism wanted. Yeah, because as we know from other sources, the people worshipping Mithra, the dead sun and all that, Sol Invictus, and again you can probably link it with a lot of other names like Apollo and maybe what we read in different names. Doesn't really let's just keep to the Mithra thing and all that, right? But anyway, it's that was apparently the day that they celebrated. That's the day of the week that they, and then the Christians are just taking it on. That's bullshit. It's utter bullshit. And then, of course, the Christ-Mass comes around as well. Well, if the people worshipping the dead sun, on the sky, this Mithra, Sol Invictus bullshit and all that. Well, if they had the pinnacle of celebration on the 25th December, don't you think that this wicked system would think, hey, yeah, let's put it on December the 25th and call it Christ-Mass. And then we'll, get all the pagans into the Roman Catholic Church as well. So much. Look at the links, But I'm not sure in regards of these, I haven't done most research in that. But you begin to see what is happening here, and it would be nice to see some better sources on what might actually also have entered the Roman Catholic maniac institution at that point in regards from Mithra and all that. Anyway, the Roman authorities authorized persecution around 322. Constantine issued what is known as the Edict Against Heretics. So I wonder what could be heretics, right? Let's see here. Victor Constantinos Maximus Augustus to the heretics. So says the high pagan priest of Pontifex Maximus, the high pagan priest of Sol Invictus, and Mithra. That's incredible. To the heretics. Understand now by this present statute, ye Novatians, Valentinians, Marcionites, Paulians, ye who are called Catophrygians, and all ye who devise and support heresies by means of your private assemblies, with what a tissue of falsehood and vanity, with what destructive and venomous errors your doctrines are inseparably interwoven, so that through you the healthy soul is stricken with disease, and the living becomes the prey of everlasting death. Ye haters and enemies of truth and life, in league with destruction, all your counsels are opposed to the truth, but familiar with deeds of baseness, full of absurdities and fictions, and by these ye frame falsehood, oppress the innocent, and withhold the light from them that believe. Ever trespassing under the mask of godliness, ye fill all things with defilement, ye pierce the pure and guileless conscience with deadly wounds. While you withdraw, one may almost say the very light of day from the eyes of men. But why should I particularly rise when to speak of your criminality, as it demands more time and leisure than I can give? For so long and unmeasured is the catalogue of your offences, so hateful and altogether atrocities are they, that a single day would not suffice to recount them all. I do wonder, maybe they didn't want to enter the Roman Catholic Church. Now, there might have been some, heretics absolutely out there and all that, and they might not have wanted to enter the Roman Catholic Church. But is that okay to then go out and end up slaughtering them? And of course, it's not only those; it's the Judaizers as well that is slaughtered as well. But doesn't seem like he's mentioning any Judaizers as such here. But anyway. And indeed, it is well to turn one's ear and eyes from such a subject, lest by destruction of each particular evil, the pure sincerity or freshness of one's own faith be impaired. Why then do I still bear with such an abounding evil, especially since this protracted clemency is the cause that some who were sound are become tainted with this pestilent disease? Why not at once strike, as it were, at the root of so great a mischief by public manifestation of displeasure? This is from the Constantine Edict against the heretics. This document is from the Christian Classic Ethereal Library at Calvin College. And that was, I think it's the 4th century also, where you have the medical book, so-called medical book, where they put all those, different Christian things, and where they point out in regards of heretics, right? You know which one is also included? The Nazarenes. The Nazarenes are included as a heresy in the medical book, from, I can't remember what it's called, the I can't remember. I can't remember the guy that wrote it either, but it's the medical book, to be like a help against these. But he's proclaiming the Nazarenes a heresy. Incredible. That's just utter bullshit. These were the first believers. And what was the ground for calling them heretics and proclaiming them as such? Oh, they kept the law of Moses. You see, that's so horrible. They still thought that we should keep the law of Moses and all that. So they must have been heretics, right? Because they was just following the master in regards of Yeshua and all that, who kept guarded and protected the law of Jehovah. And these was the first believers. This was the first group of Christianity, pretty much. And yet, they were, anyway, you can find it for yourself. It's the medical book of Eusebius or something like that. It's called something else, but in English I think it's the medical book on. Anyway, some of those referred to as Paulians or Paulicians and Catophrygians were part of the true Church of God. Thus, they would have rejected Sunday and other doctrines of the Emperor Constantine endorsed. The problem is, in regards of looking back into history, is that a huge amount of information has been deleted from history. And of course, Rome is rewriting history as well. So it's, you have to put the pieces together in regards of the puzzle pieces, and try the best that you can with what we have, and that we still have enormous of documents and all that, absolutely, but there's a lot that has been removed from history. again, I would have loved to see a lot of information from Asia Minor. From there must have been a good amount of documents in Asia Minor in regards of those Christians, and they had the most light in the world as far as I can see the first couple of centuries. So they were the ones that rejected Paulus as an apostle. They were the ones standing against Rome, and their man-made doctrines and all that. That is the area I would have loved to see information from. And sadly, I think we have lost a lot of information from that area. But we still have some, But we have lost a lot of documents. Anyway, and that, of course, is a topic I would like to read more on. I have seen that I think I had 2 books in regards of the history of Asia Minor and all that, where people have done the research and written books about the things, and I would love to dig into what they have found out, what they have digged forward, with what information is out there nowadays. So anyway, some of those referred to as Paulians or Paulicians and Catophrgians are part of the true Church of God. Thus, they would have rejected Sunday and other doctrines that the Emperor Constantine endorsed. And it's just funny. It's just funny that Constantine is saying that these are, heretics, and he himself is the one that wants to keep Sunday, right? And in regards of Christ-Mass as well, you just all this, pagan bullshit. Anyway, and like some other persecutions, the edict included those truly in the Church of God and those not in the true church. Herod, when he tried to kill Jesus, persecuted an entire nation, killed many babies, but Jesus' family fled the persecution and he survived. Constantine's tactics seem similar. I'm not sure entirely sure what, but anyway. Historians of many persuasions have been convinced that Emperor Constantine was less interested in Christianity per se than he was in unifying his empire. Constantine's ties with Mithraism seem to suggest, that a symbol used the Greco-Roman churches to try to accomplish the Mithratic goal of unification. Of course, no branch of the actual true church would be persecuting. It is an apostate branch that Constantine favors, a militaristic cult that embraced the views of Mithraism. And that's true. Christians are not called to go out and kill people. We're called to stand for the truth. By the word of God, And in regards to the festivals and all that, we're just to say to people, it's not in the Bible, That's pretty much the fight we have with the devil in regards of his lies and deceptions. We just promotes truth, We're trying, we are the salt of the world. We're trying to stand on the truth as best to our ability, whatever have been given us. Doctrines, mainstream Christianity share with... Actually, maybe we should read that again. Of course, no branch of the actual true church would be persecuting. Indeed. It is an apostate branch that Constantine favors, a militaristic cult that embraced the views of Mithraism. That's it's the mystery religion of Rome that took on sheep clothing, pretty much. Anyway, doctrines mainstream Christianity share with Mithraism. Are there similarities between Mithraism and mainstream Christianity? Here is some of what one Catholic scholar wrote. The resemblance between Mithraism and Christianity may be quickly summed up. Belief in the immortality of the soul. Well, I don't know if they believe that. You're only, the soul is not immortal because if you don't believe in Yeshua, you're going to be cast into the lake of fire, where both body and soul will perish forever. But I guess, he's a Catholic, so there's only everlasting life in Yeshua. So, as you believe in the immortality of the soul, I'm not, again, he's a Roman Catholic, so I don't know how he might understand it differently than the Bible, of course. Future resurrection, yeah, that's biblical. Judgment, yeah, that's biblical. Heaven, I'm not sure what he means by heaven overall, but okay. Communion rite consisting in Mithraism of bread and water. I've seen there was some picture of where they have bread and water, and there was something about it actually had been wine, and before that it actually seemed to be some psychedelic things. I'm not entirely sure, but it seemed to go back to some psychedelic stuff and all that. But now they apparently was drinking wine. I guess there could have been differences from different places in the world celebrating Mithra and all that. In any case, in Mithraism of bread and water, to which command would add wine. Oh, okay, so wine. A purificatory rite of ablution in water. Okay, that was ablution in water, I guess, and immersion in water. But of course, people, a ritual washing of priest's hands of sacred vessels. Okay. Feature common to practically all religions, having an outward resemblance to baptism. ... A remote resemblance to the Christian rite of confirmation. ... The 7 grades of the initiation as the 7 sacraments, and ... Anyway, in regards of Mithraism and Christianity, in regards of confirmation, I don't really, that seems to be a tradition as well. If you believe, you believe, and if you don't believe, you don't believe, right? And in regards of confirmation, I didn't believe when I was confirmed. I was lying. I didn't believe anything, and of course, then the priest comes and say, "This is my body," right? And he put it on your tongue, and you eat the cookie Jesus. The Lutherans in Denmark still believe it's, they don't have the sacrifice of, they're not doing the sacrifice and all that, because Luther did understand that it was the greatest abomination, but Luther sadly didn't seem to reject the cookie Jesus overall. Melanchthon did apparently not believe in the cookie Jesus. That's interesting because he was very close to Martin Luther. And we have Andreas Karlstadt rejecting it, as far as I know. We have Zwingli rejecting it, and Zwingli had a discussion with Martin Luther, and Martin Luther is banging on the table and saying, "This is my body, this is my body," while he's saying, "This is my body." When it's clearly symbolic, so yeah, and Martin Luther demonizing Andreas Karlstadt for that, when it's actually Martin Luther that is wrong. It's just so sad. So we in Denmark apparently still, the Lutherans still believe in the cookie Jesus in Denmark. It's incredible. We have only had 500 years to change things back to the Bible, right? 500 years, 500 years to read the Bible, to understand the Bible, and yeah, we still have problems with Sunday. We still have problems with the cookie Jesus. Now, of course, we don't sacrifice it like the Roman Catholics yet. They still believe it's God. Now, a lot of people don't know that and all that, but they still believe that this is the body of Jesus. You have to be kidding me. And of course, they're promoting all the pagan doctrines as well. And of course, they're not speaking in regards to who the Antichrist is anymore either. So Catholic scholar Aiken's list is a bit incomplete, and he does not consider that all of the above are actually close resemblance. Although some practices, beliefs are not close, some are, and there are also more similarly doctrines, and he elaborated there. Here is a larger list of some non-original doctrines that mainstream Christianity share with Mithraism: birthdays, Christ-Mass, confirmation within Catholicism mainly. We also have confirmation in Denmark. Dress of the clergy, we pretty much, I guess, have that as well still. And I remember Luther and all that, and he was asked about it, and he said, it doesn't matter, you can take this and that and all that on. That was from a Danish professor, I think. But, so you, instead of just, instead of just dressing like, you're dressing like, specially, right? Father being a name for the clergy, mainly the Roman and Orthodox clergy. And that seems to, we have the Mithra, you have the highest form of Mithra in regards to the father degree, as far as I understood it. And of course, Yeshua said, don't call anyone on earth father, right? So that, of course, goes totally against the words of Yeshua again, as usual, Don't call anyone on earth rabbi, and we have, people going around calling themselves rabbis, and people calling them rabbis and all. That's incredible, and they profess Jesus or Yeshua, Heaven as a reward of the saved. So apparently, okay. Idols and icons, immortality of the soul, liturgy. Okay, so this is okay. So So the Catholic was. Okay, this is the guy from the COG, So we have heaven as a reward of the saved, idols and this is one of the groups that actually keeps the Sabbath, And again, if you go to Wikipedia, if they still have the site up, and you search on the Sabbath, some years ago they had a list of all the congregations that keep the Sabbath. Not all, but they had a good amount of them, and that was just a door to a lot of goodies. Because if they're keeping the Sabbath, then they take things seriously, and if they keep the Sabbath and the festival, that's even better. So anyway. So heaven as a reward of the saved, idols and icons, immortality of the soul. And that was, I guess, the thing that the Catholic guy thought in regards of immortality. The soul is not immortal. If we don't repent and turn to Jesus Christ, we will be cast into the lake of fire, and thereby the soul will be destroyed with the body forever and ever. Liturgy, mainly parts of the Roman and Orthodox liturgy. Military service, I'm not sure what that is about. I guess, I'm not sure. Mystical Eucharist. I don't know if in regards of, in regards of Mithra, how that works out. Monks. It seems like John Chrysostom is, seemingly believing in a cookie Jesus. But anyway, a Roman Pope, the Roman Church only, with some similarities within the Orthodox groups. 7 sacraments, Sunday, a form of Trinitarianism. But again, the Trinity is, of course, from this guy's perspective, he has problem with the Trinity. But the Trinity it's valid. Go read John 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. But he believes in a dual, what is it called? The Father and the Son. That's pretty much it, I think. What is it called? Bi dual, no, something with bi in regards of two, that's what he believes, and I think that's utterly wrong. I think it's pretty clear. Just read the New Testament, and if you need, fix some paper, and when Jesus says something in regards to the Father and the Son and all that, just draw it up, and if you draw it up, you get the Trinity with a twist, Yeshua explains it all pretty much in chapter 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's pretty much the center place of the Trinity. So with the twist, Anyway, so the Mithra's liturgy contained the following in a prayer for its initiates. Be gracious to me, O Providence and Psyche, which the great god Helios, Mithras, ordered to be revealed to me by his archangel, so that I alone may ascend into heaven and as an inquire and behold the universe, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So this Mithras liturgy contained the following in the prayer for its initiates. So we see Helios as well. And so that might be a link to the sun god Helios, right? From Greek. Was it Greek, Helios? I can't remember. Helios, sun god. So yeah. Greek, Helios, also Helios. Ancient is the god and personification of the sun. So if they actually have this Helios in regards to Mithras, there we go with the link in regards to the Greek god. You see all these pagan links here and there, this and that, and but it doesn't really say if Helios had, when he has his birthday overall. But yeah. Now, Helios in his chariot, early 4th century, there's a picture of that, okay. But is it anything sun worship? It's this colossal of Rhodes. I'm not sure if they're trying to connect that with, yeah, whatever. All the paganism, it goes one place. Oh, here we have the solar Apollo with the radiant halo of Helios in a Roman floor mosaic. So apparently the halo is actually going back to Helios in a Roman. So and of course we also see in regards of Roman Catholicism of all, they usually have this sun halo around them, right? Round as the sun. Maybe it's because it has something to do with sun worship. The dead sun, hidden behind a veil of sheep clothing. Anyway, solar Apollo with the radiant halo of Helios in a Roman floor mosaic. I'm sitting on Wikipedia at the moment, just looking at it. This is in the topic of Helios. So that was, I guess, that again we see a link between Helios, Apollo, Mithra, Sol Invictus, and all that. So yeah, that's pretty much. But I don't know in regards to the 25 December or the Dionys and Asclepius or something also then identified with this Apollo Helios. So okay, let's see here. By late antiquity, Helios had accumulated a number of religious, mythological, and literary elements with other deities, particularly Apollo and the Roman sun god Sol. In 274 AD, on December the 25th, the Emperor Aurelian instituted an official state cult of Sol Invictus, or Helios Magistus, Great Helios. So here we have a link in regards of Sol Invictus again, in regards of Helios. So it leads, so we have Mithra being connected with Helios. We have Sol Invictus being connected with the word Helios, which apparently is in regards to the sun god. So who's Sol Invictus? Who is Mithra? Who is he? Someone calling now. I'll call back. Yeah. Let's just close that. Close it down. Anyway, so this new cult drew together imaginary, not only associated with Helios, and so this new cult drew together imaginary, not only associated with Helios and Sol, but also a number of syncretic elements from other deities formerly recognized as distinct. Again, paganism is, mixing together of different things here and there and all that. Nothing new under the sun. So, yeah. Any case. So the Mithras liturgy contained the following in a prayer for its initiates. Be gracious to me, O Providence and Psyche, which the great god Helios Mithras. Again, So we have two things in regards of Sol Invictus being connected to Helios, Megistos, the great Helios, in this, and of course we see the connection in regards of Mithra and Sol Invictus as well. So, and there might be some differences here and there, but overall it's in regards to the pagan dead sun god. Anyway, thus having to, and so yeah. Anyway. Thus, and then also in regards to some sources, it talks about, that one source that we, in regards of not, people were afraid even to just look at the sun. So again, we see the connection in regards to the sun on the sky actually. In regards, it wouldn't be so far-fetched to think that, they would celebrate the sunbirth when the sun begins to rise. Oh, is it so hard, to understand? Anyway, thus going to heaven was a major goal for the followers of Mithras. Article of related interest may be, did early Christians teach they were going to heaven? And no, I don't think they did. They were teaching in regards to the resurrection. So, but that's another, the Roman Catholics believe they go to heaven or purgatory. It was like in a holding up place. They call it the Holy Ghost Hospital. It's just bullshit, And of course, you can then pay the church, for getting grandmotherless time in purgatory or whatever. Yeah, all that bullshit. It's all bullshit. Pagan bullshit. And all the rest they have. This is a demonic institution. It's the greatest deception of Satan, Here's a report from F. Cumont on more information about Mithraism. The priest was the intermediary between God and man. His functions evidently included the administration of the sacraments and the celebration of the services. The inscriptions tells us that in addition, he presided at the formal dedications, or at least represented the faithful one on such an occasion, along with the fathers. But this was the least portion only of the duties he had to perform. The religious service which fell to his lot appears to have been very exacting. He doubtless was compelled to see that a perpetual fire burned upon the altars 3 times a day, at dawn, at noon, and at dusk. He addressed a prayer to the sun, the literal sun, the dead sun and all that, turning in the morning toward the east, at noon towards the south, at evening toward the west. The daily liturgy frequently embraced special sacrifices. The celebrant garbed in the sacerdotal robes, resembling those of the Magi, sacrificed to the higher and lower gods the diverse victims, the blood of which was collected in a trench, or offered them libations, and libations that's like, drinking offerings, Holding in his hand the bundle of sacred twigs, which we know from the Avesta. Long psalmodies and chants accompanied with music were interspersed among the ritual acts. A solemn moment in the service, one very probably marked by the sounding of a bell, was that in which the image of Turuktunus Mithra, hitherto kept veiled. I'm not sure. I guess that's in regards of the bull thing and Mithra killing the bull. Hitherto kept veiled, was uncovered before the eyes of the initiates. Mithra identified with the invincible sun. There we go again. They also held Sunday sacred. There we go again. And celebrated the birth of the sun on the 25th of December. There we go again. The same day on which Christ-Mass has been celebrated since the 4th century at least. There we go again. They both admitted the existence of a heaven inhabited by beautified ones situated in upper regions. They both finally believed in immortality of the soul, and On the other hand, the ecclesiastical writers, reviving a metaphor of the prophet Malachi, contrasted the Son of Justice with the invincible sun, and consented to see in the dazzling orb which illuminated men a symbol of Christ, the light of the world. Should we be astonished if the multitudes of devotees failed always to observe the subtle distinction of the doctors? And if in obedience to a pagan custom they rendered to the radiant star of day the homage which orthodoxy reserved for God? In the 5th century, not only heretics, but even faithful followers were still wont to bow their heads towards its dazzling disk as it rose above the horizon, and to murmur the prayer, "Have mercy upon us." Okay. The orthodox and heretical liturgies of Christianity, which gradually sprang up during the first centuries of our era, could find abundant inspiration in the Mithraic mysteries. It appears certain that the commemoration of the Nativity was set up for the 25th of December, because it was at the winter solstice that the rebirth of the invincible God, the Natalis Invicti, was celebrated. In adopting this date, which was universally distinguished by sacred festivities, the ecclesiastical authority purified in some measure the profane usage which it could not suppress. The only domain in which we can ascertain in detail the extent to which Christianity imitated Mithraism is that of art. The Mithraic sculpture, which had been first developed, furnished the ancient Christian marble cutters with the large number of models which they adopted or adapted. Yeah, well. Anyway, that's from Cuman, page 166, and so forward and so forward. Most of the doctrines and practices mentioned above were not held by the original Christians. For articles related to them, please see Sunday and Christianity. What does Catholic Church teach about Christ-Mass and holy days? Did early Christians believe that humans possessed immortality? And what did the early church teach about idols and icons? And actually, he's written a book as well, a free booklet. I haven't read it, but the guy knows a lot of good things. He really, so, and again, everybody has mistakes, you can always find something that you don't agree with. So, but he has some really, really, really good information on things, that's for sure. An Armenian scholar called Ananias of Sirach, circa 600 AD, wrote, "The festival of the Holy Birth of Christ on the 12th day before the feast of the baptism was not appointed by the holy apostles, nor by their successors either, as is clear from the canons, ... which is 6th of the January according to the Romans. But many years after their fixing the canons, this festival was invented, as some say, by the disciples of the heretic Cerinthus, and was accepted by the Greeks because they were truly fond of festivals and most fervent in piety. And by them it was spread and diffused all over the world. But in the days of the Holy Constantine, so-called Holy Constantine, in the Holy Council of Nice, this festival was not received by the Holy Fathers." So also in regards of the 6th of January, I guess, I don't know. So 12 days before January the 6th is December 25. See also Connie Bear, FC, The Key of Truth, a manual of Paulician Church of Armenia, Clarendon Press, Oxford, 1898, page 185. Hence, the above report suggests that December 25 was originally developed by the apostate Cerinthus. I don't know, whatever. Why would Cerinthus pick December the 25? Probably because that was the day of celebration of the birthday of the sun god Mithra, as well as being at the time of the Saturnalia festival. And as we know, in regards to Christmas or Christ-Mass, people are keeping it the whole month of December. And even even after the 24th, 25th of December, they continue with, until the pagan New Year of Janus. So you have what is called the Christ-Mass vacation. In Danish, we call it jule. What do you call it? I can't even remember what it's called in Danish anymore. Juleferie, tror jeg nok. I think juleferie, I think it is. Anyway. As far as Mithraism and Christmas go, notice the following claim. The origin of the festivity is presumed to be Mithraic and about 4,000 years old. Mithra was the god of light in ancient Iran. The symbol of Mithra is sun, soul. Iranians use this symbol on their flag for at least the last 2,500 years. The period of the 17th to the 24th of December was the direct direction of this feast. The 21st of December, which is the solstice of winter, is still celebrated in Iran. It is called Yalda, and it represents the victory of light over darkness, which symbolizes the triumph of good over evil. Mithraism was brought to Europe by Greek soldiers after the defeat of the Persians by Alexander. Prior to the dominance of Christianity, the Romans celebrated this festivity during the 25th of December to 6th of January. Mithraism gained favor by Emperor Commodus and Julian, and in 307 Diocletian built a temple on the Danube River dedicated to Mithra. Mithraism spread throughout Europe from Rome to the province of Numidia in North Africa up to England and Scotland. So it went pretty far. During the later time of Clement, when Roman bishops such as Zephyrinus and Callistus gained power, they apparently compromised in many ways, and thus many associated with that church chose to celebrate the Roman Saturnalia, which seems to have been related to the Yalda of Mithraism. Christ-Mass was specifically December 25 because of Mithraism, according to many scholars, including the ones below. It is true that in the history of the Church of Mithraism made itself felt, we acknowledge it to this day, for in the course of the 4th century, the commemoration of Christ's birth was changed from January the 6th to December the 25 in order to agree with the commemoration of the birth of Mithra. This was done probably with the object of weakening the Mithra cult, or maybe actually, making it easier for them to come over, over time in the 4th century. Anyway, by giving its chief festival a Christian atmosphere, by giving its chief festival a Christian atmosphere. Yeah. See, we're doing like you, just in another name, come over, and celebrate, right? Yeah, incredible. That's the way of Roman Catholicism. It has a way of, it doesn't have any problems in some sense making paganism into its own, as long as they have the authority and rule. But I don't know where they get this January the 6th date from. I've seen it multiple times. I don't know where that comes from. That would be a link to research as well, But in any case, it doesn't really matter. I can just go back to the Bible and see what the Bible says. And there's no festivals in the winter. It's just, a period of, where there's nothing pretty. It's just a period that you just need to go through. And then you're looking forward to the spring festivals. Anyway, it may be interesting to note that since Mithras was believed to have been born out of a rock, or cavern that Constantine's mother Helena decided, apparently based upon the old testimony of Justin and other unfaithful professors of Christ, to build the original church of the Nativity over a cave. See, was Jesus born in the grotto of the Nativity? And I think that actually also goes back to sun worship. If that is in regards of Nazareth and all that, there's a guy that have done a lot of studies on that as well, and he talks about it actually just going back to some pagan sun worship, the dead sun. Anyway, notice what Justin taught, and when those who record the mysteries of Mithra say that he was begotten of a rock, and call the place where those who believed in him are initiated in a cave, they have attempted likewise to imitate the whole of Isaiah's words. He shall dwell in the lofty caves of the strong rock, bread shall be given to him, and his water shall be sure. Trypho, that's where Justin has a debate with Trypho, or a talk with Trypho. And Justin Martyr apparently was a philosophy. He wear the robes of something in regards of, and he's apparently still continued to wear them after he became a Christian. And then Trypho apparently begins to ask Justin, and anyway, they get a talk. But when the child was born in Bethlehem, since Joseph could not find a lodging in that village, he took up his quarters in a certain cave near the village. And while they were there, Mary brought forth the Christ and placed him in a manger. What does the gospel actually say? Didn't they find a place right in anyway, I don't think there's any cave, but anyway, and placed him in a manger. And it's also interesting, right? Because Joseph is going up to Jerusalem, and it's but anyway, whatever. And while they were there, Mary brought forth the Christ and placed him in a manger. And here the Magi, who came from Arabia, that doesn't seem to be the correct thing here. The Magi would have come from Babylon, I would have think. Anyway, found him. I repeated to you what Isaiah foretold about the sign which foreshadowed the cave. Those who presided over the mysteries of Mithras were stirred up by the devil to say that in a place called among them a cave, they were initiated by him. Okay, well, I don't know. Justin is and here we go with the pagans, shooting the fireworks. That was also a pagan practice to frighten the demons and all that, whatever bullshit, Anyway, Justin is confused here. He's apparently claiming, in regards to the noise and all that. Anyway, Justin is confused here. He is apparently claiming that the devil read Isaiah, and thus had the followers of Mithra claim that Mithra came from a cave. Justin reference to Isaiah 33:16 does not in any way point to the birth of Jesus in a cave. The passage in Isaiah never mentions a birth and has in-time application. See, there is a place of safety for the Philadelphians, why it may be Petra. Why it may be Petra. Okay, I don't know. So this is also obvious by the context in Yeshayahu as the expression who amongst us, Yeshayahu 33:14, King James Version, is a discussion of the plural. Furthermore, while it has been claimed Yeshua was born in a cave below ground, even the Dewey Old Testament translate a portion of Yeshayahu 33:16 as he shall dwell on high, the fortifications of rock shall be his highness. Thus this eliminates a below ground cave. It would seem that Justin, who had been influenced, in my view, by one who had exposure to Mithraism, was looking for justification of a position that someone had told him, which he had believed. Justin was apparently trying to claim that the followers of Mithras claimed a cave because of Yeshayahu. yet those scriptures would clearly disagree with him here. And here are two accounts related to it and Helena. Constantine's mother Helena, during her famous pilgrimage to the Holy Land in 326 to 327, initiated construction of more basilicas, including the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem around the cave in which Jesus was supposed to have been born. Oh, maybe it was in regards of sun worship. Anyway, that was one. Haringey, an introduction to the history of Christianity from the early church to the Enlightenment. Continuum, International Publishing Group. Blah, 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 blah. 2006, page 54. Anyway, The Church of the Nativity said to have been built by the Empress Helena. It has suffered much from time, but still bears manifest traces of its Grecian origin, and is alleged to be the most chaste architectural building now remaining in Palestine. Two spiral staircases lead to the cave, called the Grotto of Nativity, which is about 20 feet below the level of the church. We have to place the utter improbability that a subterranean cavern like this, with a steep descent, should ever have been used as a stable for cattle, and what is more, for the stable of a khan or caravanserai or something like that, which doubtless the inn of Luke 2:7 was. Although, therefore, it is true that cattle are and always have been stabled in caverns in the East, yet certainly not in such caverns as this, which appear to have been originally a tomb. Kito J. Taylor J., the Popular Cyclopedia of Biblical Literature, and so forward and so forward. Although it is no surprise that the mother of Mithra's following emperor would agree on a below-ground cave location to honor the birth of a deity, this clearly disagrees with Justin's citation in Isaiah, or Yeshayahu. Furthermore, as the gospel accounts of Jesus' birth do not mention caves at all, it is not likely that Jesus was born in a cave. See, was Jesus born in a grotto of the Nativity? Yeah, well, you see a lot of traditions in Israel in regards of Catholic tradition, so you really have to be careful when they're saying, oh, this and that, Notice also, Mithratic temples were usually built in caves, in localities where there are no mountains. The Holy of Holies of the Mithratic temples was given a cave-like appearance by building special domes over it. Okay. Since Emperor Constantine had been a worshipper of the sun god Mithras, this may be why many of the church buildings that he commissioned were contained domes, and this has affected the Greco-Roman churches as well as the Mosque of Islam to this day. The original Christian buildings were tended to resemble Jewish synagogues. See also Church of God on Jerusalem, Western Hill. I guess he's talking about the Nazarenes and how they would have, I don't know. But anyway. Okay, birthdays themselves apparently were adopted by Greco-Romans because of Mithraism. It is thought that the large-scale celebration of birthdays in Europe began with the cult of Mithras, which originated in Persia, but was spread by soldiers throughout the Roman Empire. Before this, such celebrations were not common, and hence practices from other contexts, such as the Saturnalia, were adopted for birthdays. Because many Roman soldiers took to Mithraism, it had a wide distribution and influence throughout the empire until it was supplanted by Christianity. As in regards of Wikipedia, in regards of birthdays, apparently. Birthdays, however, were not observed by ancient Jews nor the early Christians. For more on birthdays, please see the article, Did Early Christians Celebrate Birthdays? The Catholic scholar Aiken noted, the thing is, we're keeping all these pagan festivals and things here and there and all that, and yet we have left the festivals of Jehovah. And I was like, and we have we are using so much time on the rest of the bullshit. Anyway, the Catholic scholar Aiken noted Mithraism was first and foremost a military cult brought to these regions by foreign Mithra worshippers, who, along with other Orientals, were enlisted in the Roman army and stationed in the numerous camps that dotted the extensive frontier on the north. Some of the Roman soldiers, even centurions and higher officers, became initiated in the mysteries of the victorious light god. And when afterwards they were sent to different parts of the empire, and when afterwards, they spread it around. It should be pointed out that Christians in the first 2 centuries after Christ always refused to participate in the military. That's an important point. It should be pointed out that Christians in the first 2 centuries after Christ always refused to participate in military, and there's some wonderful stories on that as well. It was only after the former Mithritic follower Emperor Constantine proclaimed he had a vision where many who professed Christ willing to change from its original position against military service and support Constantine. For more information, please see the article Military Service and the Churches of God. Do real Christians participate in carnal warfare? The Catholic scholar Aiken noted, to attain to a life of happiness in heaven, the rites proper to Mithraism were held to be of exceptional efficacy and importance. Of the Mithraic priesthood, but little is known. The higher grades of initiates seems each to have had their respective priest, the highest in dignity being the priest of the grade of fathers. They were presided over by a high priest, styled in the inscription "Father of Fathers," Pater Patrum or Pater Patratus. And if my memory still serves me right, Mithra there puts a mark on the forehead of his soldiers. Okay. The 20th and 19th century writers Manly Hall and Albert Pike wrote and that these are both into the occult, wrote respectively. Both of them were Freemasons, and Freemason is Satanism. I think both of them were at least 33-degree Freemasons, but as I understand it, there actually is 39 degrees of Freemasonry. But that's another topic, I guess. Anyway, that's another topic. But overall, I'm not a Freemason. I haven't been into. So of course, there's things. But in Denmark, we have, 11 or 13 stages of Freemasonry. I have the book over here, where they totally exposes their. They think they are the Templar Knights, apparently. It seems from, but I haven't really. I just gone through it, and flipped it around. And I don't really want to know more about it. It's just Satanism and it's bullshit. Anyway, candidates who one of the reasons why I was a little interested is that it is said that Freemasonry is actually running Denmark. So yeah. Anyway, that might be true. But then the question, of course, is who's running the Freemasons? Well, all roads leads to Rome, right? Anyway, we have problems with the connection, even if there's full power. So again, it's incredible. So these are mainly Hall and Albert Pike. These are Freemasons. I remember them from my occult days and all that. And so anyway, candidates who successfully passed the Mithraic initiations were called lions and were marked upon their foreheads with the Egyptian cross. That's many P. Hall and so forward. Whatever. You have to be careful, when. But anyway, Mithra signed his soldiers on the forehead with a cross. X is the mark of 600. The mysterious cycle of the incarnations and whatever. Yeah. So we have a Catholic scholar, and of course you also have to be careful when it's Catholic, A curious bas relief recently published shows us the spectacle of this sacred repast, figure 38. Before two persons stretched upon a couch covered with pillows is placed a tripod bearing four tiny loaves of bread, each marked with a cross. These love feasts are evidently the ritual commemoration of the banquet which Mithra celebrated before his ascension. Mysteries of Mithra. Okay. Crosses were not original part of the Christian worship. For details, read what is the origin of the cross as a Christian symbol, and or watch a related video, Origin of the Cross. Well, I have looked into this topic in regards of, as far as I can see, Yeshua was executed on a cross. But anyway, of course, in regards of the cross being the symbol of the Christians, that might not be the case. But people go so far to say that Yeshua was executed on a tree. Of course, that would be true, but that he was only on a pole. But when you look into both the written things and what the Romans actually did, before Yeshua was executed, they were crucifying dogs in Rome. So that's one of the stories that I found. So why would they crucify a dog? Well, they crucified, I can't remember if it was one dog a year, but every year they crucified a dog, at least one dog. And why would they crucify the dog? Well, because there had come pagans down to Rome, and the dogs hadn't bathed. So the Romans was, and these pagans sacked Rome. So the Romans was angry at the dogs. So they had a tradition of crucifying a dog each year. So crucifixion was already there. We also see, I think at least 2 times I read in the 1st century in regards of Rome crucifying Jews. That was in regards of some Jews that didn't, a good amount actually, that didn't want to pay the taxes to the Roman emperor, and so they were, all of them, crucified. And I think that was actually a good amount of them were crucified. And then I think there was something in regards to the 70 AD when they rebelled. I think there was some crucifixion going on as well there. So, so when people say, well, it was a pole and all that, and well, if you actually look, there's nails, plural, right? So if it's only one pole and you have the arms, why would you use more than one nail? Also, in regards to the sign being over his head, it's not over his hand. And if he's hanging on one pole with his arms over the head, well, the sign would be above his hands, not above his head, right? So overall, and there's other things of that nature. I made a list, but of course it's a long time. It's many years ago. So I can't remember all the details, but that was some of the things that I found. So, in any case, notice an accusation against those who profess Christ in the 2nd, 3rd century, date uncertain, in a supposed argument between the heathen Caecilius and the claimed Christian Octavius. Why have they no altars, no temples, no acknowledged images? Yeah, that was interesting. Why would they have no altars, no temples, no acknowledged images? And that's the thing again. You can learn a lot from people that, talk about early Christianity, even if they're not Christians, So yeah, so you can pick up the puzzle pieces, even if the devil have censored a lot of documents out there, you can still, see what people are saying about things and begin to collect what the Christians really did. Anyway, if the cross was an oft-used symbol or sacred image for early Christians, the above accusation would not have been made against them, but Mithraism used both. Okay, so yeah, okay. Why have they no altars? No altars, no temples, no acknowledged images. Yeah. Okay. So the cross occurs upon runic. Oh yeah, by the way, in regards to the cross is actually the last letter of the oldest Hebrew, or at least very close to some of the oldest Hebrew hieroglyph. So it's actually the Tav that is the cross. You can see that in the museum as well. You can get verification on the museum. I have pictures from that as well in Jerusalem and all that. That was interesting to see them actually also promote this alphabet of old. So, and of course more and more information is coming out, but that's pretty much a cross, that they have for the Tav. That's the last letter of. Anyway, so again, the cross occur upon runic monuments in Europe long before Christianity was introduced into the regions containing them, and that ancient altars to the sun god Mithras, bearing the sacred symbol of the cross, have been discovered even in England. And the Laplanders of old, when sacrificing, marked their idols with the symbol of the cross, using the lifeblood of their victims for this purpose. Now, I do remember that's one of Too Long in the Sun. He did also have an image of something, and he's asking, well, who do you think this is? And many people would say that's Jesus, hanging on the cross. And he's nope, but I can't remember what god he said it was, but it was removed from the cave apparently. But he took a picture of it before, so that's nice. It should be pointed out that on a coin of Thasos bearing representation of a phallic character connected with the worship of the Thracian Bacchus, a swastika cross is a prominent symbol. Crosses, right? The Bible teaches that Jesus was the one sacrificed and that there is no altar where one serving it now eats. The Bible teaches that Jesus was the one sacrificed and that there is no altar where one serving it now eats. Yeah, okay. Previously saying, sacrifice and offering, burnt offerings and offerings for sin you did not desire, nor had pleasure in them, which are offered according to the law. And then he said, behold, I have come to you to do your will, O God. He takes away the first, that he may establish the second. By that will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once and for all. Anyway, I guess that seems to be actually Paul. Hebrews. And every priest stands ministering daily and offering repeatedly the same sacrifices, which can never take away sin. Well, yeah, but this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sin forever, sat down at the right hand of God. Now, that which can never take away sin. Well, the animal sacrifices wasn't, they were, as I think they actually were in regards of sin. So, but anyway. So after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down at the right hand of God, from that time waiting till his enemies are made his footstool, for by one offering he has perfected forever those who are being sanctified. Anyway, that's Paul. You have to be careful of Paul. I think if in regards of the the Torah and all that, I think the sacrifices are done to cover their sins. If there's sin, they do this animal sacrifice so to cover for their sins. So, I do understand that Yeshua is our sacrifice. He's our salvation. He took upon the sins of the world upon himself. So, but in regards to the Israelites, I think there was something in regards of covering in regards to their sins when they did the animal sacrifices. But anyway, what else? And it goes on and on. Maybe I should take a break. Yeah. So that would be Hebrews. So I guess that would be nice to take a break. Anyway, yeah, 1 hour and 49 minutes. But again, some more information about this here and there. But overall, I don't really care about Roman Catholicism. It's bullshit. Just follow the Bible and stick to the Bible and be careful of Paulus, which, as far as I understand, he's the first of this corruption. They will say they go back to Peter, but if anything, I think they go back to Paul. So we know Paul went to Rome, right? We have written testimony that he went to Rome in the New Testament. So we know he was in Rome. So anyway, we know that in Rome there began a lot of, weird things, And we also see the attack in regards to the 1,000-year reign on earth. And we see how the devil works to remove the truth from the world. He's out there and he's doing his work. Anyway, may Jehovah bless you, and may Yeshua be a most precious pearl, and may the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, be in us all. Amen. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Shalom. And Shavua Tov.